What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So today I wanted to talk about Vivillon, which is a Pokemon that, spoiler alert, has almost zero competitive usage whatsoever in the West, but is a Pokemon that is really rising in popularity and having a good amount of success over in Japan. And so I wanted to talk about what it is that is making Vivillon such an appealing support over in Japan. So let's go ahead and first pull up the Pikalytics information for Vivillon. And as you can see right off the bat, I mean, this thing is just not even remotely used. It's got a 0% usage rate. So, I mean, rounded down, it's probably like something 0.4% or 0.3% or something crazy like that. Almost nobody is using this Pokemon. The 83 most common Pokemon, I mean, that is pretty bad. If I scroll down here, 83, I don't even know where we start to get to. I mean, we're probably looking at things like, I don't know, like Spiritomb, maybe Cyclizar, Cloudsire. I mean, that's kind of the level of Pokemon we're getting to when we're talking about just how common Vivillon actually is right now. But with that said, Vivillon has been having a very good amount of success in Japan. And so why is it that Vivillon hasn't caught on over in the West? And I want to talk about, what it is that's making Vivillon so powerful over in Japan, and also give my thoughts on whether I think the kind of metagame over there that has developed that has made Vivillon such a nice pick is going to eventually make its way over into the West. So, starting off, I mean, looking at Vivillon's move pool here, it can actually run, two very different sets. It has a lot of options. So the most appealing option is going to be Friend Guard, so being able to support your ally in that way and offer some redirection with the form of Rage Powder. It is very much like Maushold, which we see, everywhere. I mean, Maushold's a very common Pokemon. It's on a bunch of teams, even without Annihilate, going for that usual kind of beat-up strategy that you might expect from Maushold. I mean, even without Annihilate, Maushold is seeing a decent amount of success. So Vivillon, very similar in what it can offer and bring to a team. The other thing is it has Compound Eyes as an ability, so it can go for Compound Eye Sleep Powder and have those incredibly accurate sleep powders, making it almost like a much faster Amoonguss, where this base 89 speed, it can outspeed quite a bit and just fire off a Spore there. But it also gets some other neat options. I mean, Pollen Puff is a good option, right? We know that being able to heal your bulkier teammates, we see Amoonguss do that, can become, really annoying to go up against. It can be really clutch just, being able to heal your ally for as much as Pollen Puff does, while having the flexibility of it being a pretty solid damaging attack. And if you're running a Focus Sash with max speed and special attack, I mean, Stab Pollen Puff is actually going to do some pretty decent damage coming from Vivillon. The other option is Struggle Bug, and this is a more supportive offensive move where you're using it more to just reduce the damage from special attackers rather than going for damage, rather than healing your ally. You're just using it to kind of reduce damage. For me, I like the Pollen Puff, version more, and I do like having Friend Guard alongside the Rage Powder. But one move that's actually missing here is Tailwind. Vivillon makes a really nice Tailwind setter, so you can actually use Vivillon to set up Tailwind. And so Vivillon can actually do quite a few different things for the team depending on what you need. So it's a very flexible Pokemon in that kind of way. Okay, so let's first talk about Series, Series 1 in Season 2. So this was from, I think, January 1st to the end of January. So this was right before Paradox Pokemon got introduced. And so while it's not totally relevant now, it helps kind of build the foundation for the teams that I'm about to show you that are, having a lot of success with Vivillon, because this was kind of the very first time we actually saw Vivillon be used to some decent success. And that is right here, the end of season ladder ranking. So the player who finished 25th on the in-game online ladder had a team featuring both Vivillon and Maushold. So double Friend Guard, double redirection, backed up by Pokemon like Goldengo that can just dish out insane damage, as we all know it can. Annihilate, too, is an option where Annihilate, if you let it set up, whether it's that Rage Fist or with Bulk Up, it can just become such a menace, especially when backed by double Friend Guard. I mean, the team has a lot of different options, and this is kind of the very first iteration we've seen of these teams. And as you're going to see in the upcoming teams that I show you, there's a lot of similarities where the players then kind of took inspiration from this team and just further improved it and adapted it to the Series 2 metagame. Alright, so moving on from Series 1, let's go ahead and talk about in early February. So this was about 2 weeks ago. There was a very popular 166 players competed in this tournament, but this was an unofficial tournament over in Japan. And it featured a lot of really strong players. As you can see right here, Snow, who finished in second place, is actually a former World's top 4 finalist. So a number of really good players over in Japan were competing in this tournament. And while there were no championship points, no national qualifications, no major prize money or anything on the line, it was still a very popular tournament with a lot of good players. So whichever team ended up winning and doing well, you knew was, by virtue of doing so well in such a, competitive field, was going to be something to take seriously. And coming in first place here, UB Slow using, and again, another Vivillon, Mousehold, Golden Go, very similar kind of core here that we saw have success at the end of Series 1. This time adapted for Series 2. So instead of Talonflame offering speed control, there's an Iron Bundle offering speed control with Icy Wind. Instead of having Garchomp for like that fast offense, there's a Flutter Mane. And instead of having Annihilate to, be a, bulky ghost type that can stat boost with Bulk Up and provide some offense that way, instead there's a Ceruledge, which very similarly can bulk up, just boost its stats, and eventually just become overwhelming. So a very similar kind of team to what we saw have success in Series 1. And that leads me to an actual major tournament over in Japan. Now, this one was also unofficial, but this tournament, the player who finished in first place would win the equivalent of about $4,000 US. And so, unlike this tournament where you could kind of go like, okay, well, there was nothing really on the line, and so maybe this was just players kind of experimenting, trying things out, etc. This, on the other hand, was a tournament with, almost $4,000 on the line. Players were going to try their absolute hardest to try and win this event. And now this team with Vivillon, this is actually the same player. This is the same UB Slow on Twitter, same exact player here who finished in the top 8 of this major unofficial Japanese tournament with a huge prize pool. Now, it didn't end up winning. But still, there's a lot to take away from it because top 8 is still really impressive when you're going up against all of the best players in Japan who are all vying for this, $4,000 first place prize. And so making it all the way to top 8 is still really impressive. And you can see very similar kind of base to the team. You've got the same kind of Vivillon set. It's got Friend Guard, it's got Tailwind, it's got Protect, it's got Pollen Puff, and it's got Rage Powder. So, same kind of Vivillon that we've seen previously. Being used here. And also, there was one other change, moving over to Iron Hands from what was previously, it looks like, was the Golden Go. So switching Golden Go for Iron Hands. But again, double Friend Guard here, double Redirection, and just going for some, setup with the Ceruledge, and then just some fast damage coming out of Bundle, Flutter Mane, and Iron Hand's just a general bulky and tough Pokemon to actually take down, especially when supported by Redirection and Friend Guard. So, again, very impressive to see Vivillon have this level of success in what is now a major tournament, right? You go from, in Series 1, just the online ladder, which, again, is very impressive to finish the season at 25th. Not just, peak at 25th, but to actually finish the season at 25th is very impressive. But then with the introduction of Paradox Pokemon, you have a, pretty popular online unofficial tournament where Vivillon is able to take first place. Now, with those tournaments, you could still be doubting, okay, maybe it was a fluke. I mean, neither of those results, had any kind of serious prize on the line or anything. But now you see Vivillon gets top 8 at a major tournament with about $4,000 on the line. And so that leads me into finally the Oceania International Championship. So this is one of the premier events of the entire season, right? You've got Worlds at the very top, and then right below that you have the International Championships. You got tons of prize money on the line, a bunch of championship points on the line, which can qualify you directly to the World Championship. I mean, there is just a lot on the line at these international championships, and so players are going to be trying their absolute hardest to win, bringing the teams that they are the most comfortable in and most confident in being able to achieve a good result with. And so you're not going to expect, any kind of fluke at these events. And so if I bring up the Victory Road page here for the Oceania International Championship, while it didn't make top 8, Vivillon actually managed to make top 32 here, finishing in 20th place with, very similar kind of team that we've seen previously, where it's got the double friend guard, double redirection with the Vivillon, the Mousehold. Still got the bundle, the Fluttermane. You got the Golden Go and Ceruledge. So it's a little bit, more like this team right here that UB Slow originally won this online tournament with, rather than the kind of updated version that he achieved top 8 with at this major unofficial tournament here with the bunch of prize money on the line. Now, this player right here, Masayoshi, is not the same player, and so there could have been definitely, less experience with the team because, again, he kind of, saw this Vivillon team have success and so decided to bring it himself, but not the, kind of original player here that we saw have this kind of success. And so it could have been just, not being as experienced with the team or what have you. But still, even despite that, I mean, winning $500, still going, finishing 20th out of the entire international field. I mean, it's still a very impressive result. And I think it speaks volumes to just how good Vivillon can actually be on the right team. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of Vivillon. Do you think we're going to see it pop up more in the West as we progress through Series 2? Or do you think this is just kind of a flash in the pan? Or maybe it's more just a Japanese kind of metagame call and not something you really expect to see the West try and make work? Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video.